Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you all. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being here. I just got back from a local Mexican restaurant. So I was having to run in here and set my camera up and everything. We were running a little late. So thanks for coming in. What I thought would be great for us to do is to go through any pressing questions that you have about the ops manual and any of the techniques in there. Host a quick Q&A there, but also let me bring up the chat just to see who all is in here. We got Sebastian, Ian, Alex, Dennis, Carol, Jennifer, Amy, Lysander, Michael, Sebastian. Good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. Ellen, good to see you. David. And Eric from Melbourne. Stephen Larson, good to see you, man. We've got an incredible group of people here, and I think even more are going to be joining here in just a few minutes. Quinn, welcome. Good to see everybody, and good to see you on my screen. You can pin me if you'd like to, but if you click on my window, you'll be able to pin me. I'm taking off. I got spotlighted somehow, but I just want to be able to see everybody. Um, I would love to know just initially what your thoughts are about the ops manual, besides it being ridiculously big or doubling as a doorstop. I spent a long time putting it together, and I hoped to create a book that would last a half century minimum as far as the information and training and stuff in there goes. And I'd love to hear how you enjoyed it. Anybody can jump in. We don't have to do a hand raising or anything. I think y'all can unmute yourself. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I love
Awesome.
it,
Hey,
Chase.
Alex.
It's incredible. Heavy read. Been chipping away at it every single day here. Can I ask you a question about it, or you just want to know about our thoughts on it right now?
Sure, throw it out. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so the frame, the amusing father piece, how do you kind of cultivate that or work on it? Aside from like the authority, I'm going through the confidence reboot, but I want to hear maybe a little bit more if you could.
The father frame is what I think is probably the best default way to approach tradecraft, especially when somebody's just beginning. One of the best ways to get good at it is it's going to sound a little maybe repetitive, but just getting into the mindset of Andy Griffith. And I know it's a
Okay.
dated show, but it's a perfect example of composure and that fatherly frame, which he takes with everyone in the city. And then we have Barney Fife, who is the perfect example of vacillating between posturing and collapse. So that fatherly frame is about slowness and patience and compassion. So the compassion is the fastest way to get actual authority. And people, the biggest mistake people make, even though they've heard me say it 1,000 times, is worrying about hierarchy and status. And the father frame never has that because it's just an internal not thing, not an external thing. So I think that's one of the fastest ways to do it. The slowness of movement and the compassion. And if anyone is ever worried about like, can I take this step or can I do this thing when it comes to authority? If you imagine someone who's really excited coming up to you and they're very excited about something and they're very passionate about it, they can get away with 100x more than somebody who isn't excited or looks serious. You'll allow them to do all kinds of things that you would never allow a serious person to do to you. So that excitement is the best way to start doing that frame, with that excitement, but still composure, with
Okay.
composure. So that excitement is the gateway to help anybody kind of get into that level of authority, because it automatically makes people more open and willing to go along with what's happening, because you're not serious. And they also, even if they have some weird social anxiety, their brain their brain will perceive a neutral face as a potential threat, or somebody who's suspicious or judgmental. So them seeing an excited face means that their brain cannot make that error, because it is so obviously not threatening or judgmental.
That helps. That helps a lot.
Yeah. So if you ever do watch Andy Griffith for that father frame, the first thing that even experts are going to tell you to do is watch what he does and what he says, which is total bullshit. You need to be paying attention to his worldview, how he sees the world around him, which they don't explain. It's not something that's blatantly obvious, but taking notes on world view is the most important thing that you could do.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that
Sure.
worldview? Because I'm going through the entrainment. I'm at level 2, and I feel like I'm getting it as far as social intelligence goes, but I'm not actually sure what is the worldview. Like, how do I know? How do you measure it if you're getting, like, obviously it's you don't want to focus on the symptoms, from at least what I'm picking up from what you're saying in the course material. But what is worldview? Is that just their psyche, how they operate, the reflection back?
It's the way that person perceives the world around them, which
Okay.
changes how they behave. So it is kind of a frame in a sense. But I would say worldview, if you're good, it's initially about a frame and how I see the world. And once I get through that phase, the second part of that is my brain's ability to zoom out on a problem when necessary and then back in. So it's
Mm,
my brain's ability to go from uh, concern to the philosophy of absurdism. And then when I have stress and real crazy problems in my life, to stretch when needed to nihilism and then come back to center. If that makes any sense.
yeah, I'd have to look up nihilism, I guess. I don't even know what that means.
It's good.
Take a note real
Just like,
quick.
and the nihilism is just a perspective that you adapt to understand or process something that's going on, like a problem that's happening.
Okay.
Absurdism is the step before you reach the nihilism level. Great questions. Let me take
Hey
one from
Chase.
somebody else. Thanks for the question, Alex. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, I've been just on the ops manual real quick. I've been pretty open in ABR and NCI about uh, what I've gone through, and I just want to say thank you. Um, I'm 23, but 3 years ago, I was I was a vicious drinker. I had no discipline whatsoever, none. I uh, had no enjoyment, no gratitude. Basically, every part of the authority triangle, zeros across the board, and I mean, I had none of it. And although I'm not a millionaire yet, or I'm not, in this like super high status position, I am sitting in a clean room, happier than I've ever been, no dishes in the sink, clean laundry, and for me, it's just one of the most amazing things ever. So and that all comes from uh, the stuff that you've done on authority, and so I'm very very grateful for that.
Oh, thank you.
It 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 absolutely has changed my life. Um, but I guess the only so I love the ops manual. I think it's awesome. Um, I have very little complaints about any of it. The only big issue that I'm running into is we talk about behavioral entrainment, and I don't know if it's a part of my if it's something I'm doing wrong, but I can't get it doesn't seem like I can do any of it. I can't get the social vacuum. I can't even get an eyebrow flash back from most people. And so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it just seems like when I try to do any kind of entrainment, um, I'm not getting any feedback back from a person.
I think that may go down to your level of frame and how powerful your frame is. One of the best things that I teach my one-on-one clients to do starting out, and these are high-powered CEOs that have a shitty frame. So like they're multi-millionaires and they have a really bad frame. So I mean, like getting to the status that you were talking about doesn't do much for the other part. It may for a little while, and it may for 45 seconds when you pull out a platinum card at a big family dinner or something like that. But that's about it. Um, is when you start meeting people, getting into the frame of everything is okay. Everything's okay. So that's where you make uncomfortable, prolonged eye contact without smiling and without looking mean for just a little bit longer than you normally would. And then you wait until it gets uncomfortable. And then you say, "You look familiar." And that's it. And getting yourself over and over and over again to that discomfort with that prolonged eye contact is one of the fastest ways to get to that point. And just to kind of, it's that first jump to start getting over, to start seeing, to start training your mammalian brain that I'm not going to get stabbed if I make a social error. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
I don't
awesome.
know.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And just again, I know you've never met me, but you have changed my life, and so I just wanted to express my gratitude. I'm so thankful for you, Chase.
Thanks, Tyler. I really appreciate it, man. That made my day. I'm glad to hear it.
Hey, Chase.
Hey, Justin.
I hope you're doing well, as you always say, my friend. I just have a couple questions on a few different things. One is Cesar Millan's book. So I'm getting to the part of the mirror of my dog, and my dog gets really excited when it knows people that it loves are in the area, you could say. And then it can get really scared of strangers because it takes a little bit of time for it to warm up to them. And I see that as me. And I also kind of want to understand like the strongest state in the room. I think you touched on this on one of the lives. Can you go a little bit more deeper on that?
Can you explain what in what context did I say the strongest state in the room?
Is it the strongest state in the room will control the frame? Is that how it goes?
Sort of. Um, I would say the person who controls the frame in the room has a few things happening with them. They need the least from the people in the room. Number one.
Hmm.
And I mean, this sounds bad, but I mean, even in a relationship, the person who needs the least will wind up being in charge, or will wind up dictating what happens. But in a social setting, the person who needs the least will have the strongest frame. Element number two is the person reacting the least to everybody else is the one who dominates the frame in the room.
Hmm.
And that the way that I worded that was as if they were dominating other people. They're just dominating their own frame. So always think of it that way. So we're never concerned with status or hierarchy. And third, the person who is the calmest will dominate that frame. So I had a client, just to give you, I keep going with these coaching examples, but I think we should just stick with it, or I'm going to stick with it. But I had a client, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago, somewhere in the winter, and he was talking about all of this, and he had this big negotiation come up. It was, I don't know, $100 million deal. It was a big deal. And he owns, I think, one of the biggest fertilizer companies in the world. So it's not some weird, cool Wall Street thing where everybody's in suspenders and snorting cocaine and stuff like that. It was just like a bunch of regular, boring country club dudes. Uh, but he had a $100 million deal on the table, and he was really nervous about this meeting. So the first thing I told him to do is, like, the way that you gain control in any situation is having 3 to 4 alternate plans, and he didn't have any. So I said, I want you to write up, like, or have your entire business team write up 10 different ways that you could make $100 million in the next month if you had to. So he walked into that meeting not needing them. He needed them up until he knew that he had other options. He wanted to be there. He wanted to be partnered with them, but he didn't need them anymore because he understood all the different ways that he could get the same amount of money.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You bet. And the final thing that I would say that dominates these frames in social interactions is we only get threatened, we only feel threatened by other people when we fail to see that the 4 lenses, or those 4 laws of behavior. We're suffering, everybody's insecure here, everybody's faking it, everybody's wearing a mask. All those little laws of behavior, knowing them is different than seeing them. And if a person actually lives through those, instead of just memorizing them, I wrote them down on the fridge or I put a post-it note on my bathroom mirror, that's one thing. But actually getting to the point where I'm seeing that on a very regular basis, and I'm drilling that into my head to where I understand that there's nobody perfect around me, and I've kind of unplugged myself from ever thinking about status and hierarchy again.
And one follow-up question to that would be is how does the mirror or the ink blot play into factor of those 4 things like you were kind of describing?
The mirror.
Yeah.
So you remember the 4 lenses of behavior. We see people as broken, then different at level 2, then facts at level 3. Level 4 is reasons. There's a secret level 5, and that's reflections. So once I get up to the highest level of being able to see other people, I don't see reasons anymore. I'm seeing reflections. I'm seeing me. I get to the point of not just knowing, but fully embodying the fact that the entire world is an ink blot test. And how I perceive the world tells me more about me than it does the world. So when I'm seeing Donnie douchebag or whatever down the street, and I would normally get pissed off, I'm starting to see a reflection. I'm seeing parts of me in that now. I'm not just seeing reasons outside of myself. I'm seeing me in that. I'm able to do that. And I think that's probably the highest level.
Thank you.
Wonderful and beautiful question. Thanks, Justin. Anybody else, just hop on up.
Hi, Chase. I got a question about the 6. Oh, there's so many 6s. It's the 6 human needs. So if someone has a need, is it possible for that need to be filled, or is that like a constant black hole that they have for forever, pretty much?
It's a black hole.
Black hole.
Yeah. And it's only a black hole because of the half-life of the neurotransmitters that fulfill it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Great question.
Thank you.
But I will say, if somebody's in a place where that need is nonstop being met, they'll just shift on the needs map. It's the same. We have a philosophy in grad school called fence building, to where somebody reaches a certain level of success, and let's say my goal was to make like I don't know, 50K a month. And that was like a huge goal for me. The moment I reach making 50K a month, it's no longer a big deal. I don't take the time necessary to celebrate it and recognize it. I say, wow, this is pretty cool. What if I could do 100? So the moment that I start reaching goals, I build another fence that I'm going to have to climb over. And I climb over that fence. The first thing I do is get to work building the next fence. And that is, I think, just the human condition.
Which actually leads me to my follow-up question. Is the ops manual kind of like the same structure that you teach mastery, or is it kind of more cobbled together for a beginner?
It's definitely not everything that's in mastery, but it follows about the same. It kind of follows, you know how like if you go to college, you buy the freaking $500 textbook in the bookstore, and your professor has you read like 9 paragraphs from it the entire year.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but it's very much the stuff that we do cover in grad school is all throughout the ops manual. It's the ops manual is the textbook in a real sense, not a the college professor needs to make money sense. So it is the textbook that I would say this is the foundational elements of grad school.
All right. Thank you.
I had one
oh.
I studied behavioral psych, and we had a professor, I can't remember his name, but I went to a university that kind of just ripped off the military. And if you used your military, it's called TA, tuition assistance, to pay for all this stuff, they would pass you. It was a scam university. I feel like I don't even have a degree, but uh, we had a professor that sold an ebook for $339 that we never used once in the entire year. And it was mandatory to buy it. So they just screwed the military over. Anyway, uh, absolutely. Somebody else was jumping in. Ben, great question.
Yeah, I had a question real quick.
Dan?
You mentioned, I think in one of the, I think in a early mastery video that you were working on an Excel spreadsheet index for the book. Is that available, or is there any kind of searchable index for the book?
I thought there, until you just said that, I thought I had put an index in the book. There's not an index in there?
Maybe. Am I missing it?
Oh, there is an index.
There is an index. So there are references.
Nope. No index. I will get my editor to work on that and we'll throw an index in there.
Now I feel bad for your editor.
She's going to invoice me like crazy for it. So don't worry. Don't worry too much.
That would be sick. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And Holly, if you're on the call now, could you write that down for as a to-do for me?
Absolutely. Already did.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Screwed me over. The index shit. I'm kidding. I do appreciate it. Up until that moment, I thought there was an index in that book. So I had to go look.
Hey,
All right.
it's here.
Eric, hey man.
Yeah, I did a sales presentation yesterday and I tried to follow, I've only done through chapter 2, so I'm not all the way through the book, but I tried to set it up like you had in the sales for for a website and stuff. So I started with the suggestibility and went through focus and such. But I was having a hard time in a sales environment thinking about how do you get to suggestibility? Like I tried to start with, asking a bunch of questions and getting them to tell me their pain points and stuff, but I'm not sure I got all the way there. I got part of the way through it and then kind of panicked and then went on to the next thing.
How many people in the room?
It was a Zoom call, so 10-ish
Cameras on?
cameras on.
Okay. So the first thing you want to do for suggestibility is get involvement.
Yeah.
And you want to say, like, as a quick poll here, throw it in the chat or whatever. In person, you'd say the same thing. As a quick poll here, show of hands. Between an open person and a closed off person, which person is a better leader and a better salesperson? So everybody for a closed off. Everybody for open, everybody's going to raise their hand. So they've all just made an agreement. And you didn't just get them to make an agreement about an idea, you got them to agree of who they are as a person
Yeah.
in that short amount of time. And you've leveled up their openness, which leads to the more suggestibility. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So the next part of this is negative dissociation to the entire group. So right after everybody agrees on the open part, how many people have worked with somebody who is just so closed off, they're not open to new ideas, and they inevitably fail and blame other stuff? How many people have worked with somebody like that? Everybody has. But you've also got them to make a second agreement that they are not that type of person. And you've done that in about 60 seconds. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And then you're going to say, because they're going to wonder how many times you're going to be doing this. And you're going to say, this is the final time I'm going to ask. I'm not going to be doing hand raising shit the whole time, but everybody's got to participate in this one. This is
Yeah.
the final time I'm going to ask. When you work with people, do you think they acted on good advice when they heard it, or they ignored it? How many think they ignored it? Absolutely right. And it's true across the board. They ignore good things and they don't take action when they hear it. And in about a minute and a half, you've reshaped identity. You've got them to agree to start taking action, and you've got them to agree that they will not ignore advice.
Yeah, that sounds good, because I went right into kind of, here's how we do it differently than everybody else, trying to get the focus and the excitement. So that seemed to work really well. I just wasn't sure about the suggestibility.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
Towards the middle of your speech, you always want to do the down to go up metaphor in a few different ways. So you talk about, and I don't have a lot of time to go into the word for word exam demo of how this might look, but you talk about a baby eagle. Do they just jump out of the nest and fly? No, the mom grabs them by the back of the neck and throws them off of a cliff. But that's how you become an eagle. That's how you learn to fly like an eagle. You have to get thrown off the cliff and you have to go down. The only way that you're going to be successful, the only way you're going to move up in your life is to go down. Everybody, every entrepreneur you can think of, I don't care if you can list 500 names in your head right now, they all went down. They all made some tremendous investment or some tremendous mistake. One of those two things, every single one of them. They went down and now they're coming up. It's the same thing with nature. If you want to be an oak tree, you got to get buried alive first. That's step one. So you make these comparisons with I'm willing to, and you get them to subconsciously and covertly believe I need to go down and I need to invest time, energy, money, whatever it is, before I can start this transition to where I need to be. And if you want to throw one in for extra measure, since it looks like everybody's face looks like they're paying attention, I see pretty low blink rates around the room. You talk about how they trap monkeys. And you say that the way that they trap a monkey in northeastern Africa, anyway, is they put a really great piece of candy or a really shiny piece of fruit in the bottom of this glass bottle. And the monkey will reach down in there and grab it, and it'll pull it out. And now the bottle is stuck on his hand. And since the monkey won't let go, he's got to drag this heavy bottle around that's like 35 pounds. And the bottle's so heavy, the monkey can't run, and they'll just go up and snatch his ass and throw him in the back of a truck. But the monkey gets caught because he's not willing to let go of something good that he thought he had in his life. He's not willing to let go. So he gets caught. So those stories, I have an Excel spreadsheet of like 6,000 of those things that are designed to covertly make these people agree to identity statements. I'm the person who will let go. I'm willing to go down to go up. I'm willing to invest. I'm willing to make a sacrifice. It's very important. That's the shortest way that I could answer that question, Eric.
That's fascinating to me because, you know, in the past, I'm like 1000% focused on here's my thing. You know, I want to sell you my thing. I want to tell you about my thing. I want to show you how it works. But that doesn't sell.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And
It's
are
very
you
interesting.
selling to salespeople?
No, to users, to it's software to bankers. So
Okay. Okay. So initially I thought you were talking to salespeople when you said sales presentation. I apologize. So if you're trying to get somebody to buy and you're on stage, you've got to get them to go through these little identity phases. Did they agree to something that you said?
yeah,
Second, did they agree in front of other people?
yeah,
And third, can you get them to start finishing your sentences? And so you have one or two sentences that you repeat throughout the entire thing. And at the halfway mark, you stop finishing the sentence and let them all shout out the end of it. And that
yeah,
sentence needs to be some kind of identity statement or something that makes them covertly agree to something.
yeah,
So, like, as just a super basic example, I would tell that story about the eagle or the acorn. And halfway through, it's 10, 15 minutes since they heard it. And I say, in order to go up, you first must go. I'm
down.
going to have everybody finish that sentence. So those little phrases that you get them to start repeating. So now they didn't just agree in front of other people. Now they're openly saying it in front of other people. So now we have identity buy-in that's through the roof.
No, I'm working hard on that because, like I said, I need to sell, and that's just not been my thing. I've been kind of a business guy, but I'm at a point in my life I got to sell and I got to change.
Yeah. So I think that's the fastest way you can do it is get them to make agreements. And your product has got to be, you have to pitch it in a way that it like you have to make it good, obviously, but you
Yeah,
have to make it the offer so good that they feel like an idiot
yeah,
and show them how you're over delivering. Everybody here, I think, has been on the ops manual sales page, and I think it's like the offer of the century. And I legitimately went all the way in to make it so good that that a person would feel stupid if they said no to it because the offer was good, not because of the tactics were good. So that offer at the end has got to have some powerful stuff to it. And software is not sexy to sell.
mhm,
So really throwing in those metaphors and stories is going to be important for you.
yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure. My dog is dreaming on the couch behind me.
Hey,
Chase, there is a question in the Q&A box. Sorry about that, Jim.
How
You
do
go
I
on.
find that?
Okay.
Bottom of the Zoom meeting. Or I can
Oh,
read
it
it.
was under the More tab. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Let me go with this question really quick. This is from Shireen. Is it a sign of being manipulated due to feeling very different shortly after a conversation with a person than during it? I think it depends on how you feel. If you're feeling bad after a conversation and it felt good during the conversation, that's 100%. That's a sign of manipulation. Unless you have some kind of social anxiety and you were faking it all the way during that conversation and then and then you're looking back and thinking I am such an idiot, I was so fake, I was so stupid, and you're self-judgmental. That's different. If you felt great about everything during the conversation and then feel like something was off or then don't feel good afterward, that's probably manipulation because you're manipulated using uh, neurotransmitters instead of actual feelings, hormone.
Hi, Chase. Can I ask you a question about values. Couple of questions. Did they change depending on the context? Um, Different strategies you use to elicit them? And also, I'm just curious how you came up with these particular 6 values.
Yeah. So they're not all the values people have, and the needs aren't all the needs that human beings have. But these are the needs that are A, easiest to identify, and B, easiest to leverage, fast leverage, and they apply to just about everybody. So it's not an all-encompassing, here's all of humanity list, but it is, here's who I'm dealing with in this moment, and here's how I can leverage it. So I came up with those 6 because they're the fastest way. There were originally 4 of them. And we came up with the other 6 when I was working with a cult recruiter in San Bernardino, California, for 6 weeks, actually. And that modified my understanding of them. So the reason that they're all there is because that is the fastest way to influence a final understanding. So I push toward a decision because of a value. So I go toward my location on the decision map because the value is the fuel towards the decision map. But the way to identify them really quickly, if I'm in a sales conversation, I might even just bust out the values map and say, you know what? I attended a psychology class the other day, and they said there are just 6 types of people. And here's what they said. It's like, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing in your entire life? What is the most important thing? And you'll hear them talk, and just asking someone that question, like, what is the most important thing to you at the end of the day? And somebody says, oh, well, family. Okay, they're on connection. Or the most important thing for me is I can travel and do whatever the hell I want to do. That's freedom. So you'll hear statements come from 1,000 directions, but it always goes down to one of those 6.
Right
And
on.
just understanding ideal final outcome.
Yeah, that's cool. Usually I'll say like, look, at the end of the day, what is it that you really want to get out of this? That's one that I use.
Just change the word this with life.
Life. And yeah, I was just curious. That's cool. Yeah, like how you came to these 6, but I can see that. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And Sebastian, hey man. I think you're muted.
Oh my God. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. So my internet is not the best over here. The question that I had is about profiling people with the six and X. It's since I'm not from the States, I'm here in South America. I'm in Ecuador. I've I had some trouble like identifying the needs and the values for people in my own culture. I can see them very clearly. I went to the States a few months ago. It was very clear for me, but I really have trouble identifying those in my own culture. Have you seen something like that in your experience? Is it difficult for you to to interpret those things uh, across cultural differences?
Yeah, it's not for me anymore, but I've heard this question before. I'm curious, did you read the Spanish version of 6MX?
No, no. I've just read the English one.
Okay, I would challenge you to to say that your cultural understanding will start making references in your mind if you go back and read. There's a Spanish version on Amazon
Yeah, I've seen that one.
that might help. On in the other direction is just going through and kind of translating what it means based on that culture for each one of those needs. And the best way to do that is to either A, come up with an avatar for each one of those needs and have them with a name and here's their behaviors, or B, come up with someone in your life that's in that culture that has those exact same needs, and really go deep on how you understand that and how you know it, and how you know it physically, their fashion sense, the words that they choose, the time that they raise their eyebrows during a conversation, all those tiny little cues, even if you have to make up what the cues are, that's the fastest way to do it. And that's how I train people in jury selection. So it's a fast way to learn that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna try that, and I'll give it a go in the version that's in Spanish. Though uh, I was I was tempted to write to you about this, and the thing is that I guess that I think I may be wrong, but the person that did write the book in Spanish, I think he is from Spain,
Yeah.
right? So there's 42 countries that speak Spanish, and we are all a little different amongst ourselves. But I think that the most different from all of them is Spain. So if if you at all would be interested to know about those differences, I'm open to any questions that you may have about that cultural difference, because Spain is in the first world and we are here in the third world. It's kind of different. So my interest is just to make it clear for everyone. Of course, for myself.
Dude, I would love it if whatever you come up with, you could just shoot me an email and
Okay.
I would love it. Y yo puedo hablando
Okay.
también. Aprendí español en una escuela de militar. Mi acento es poquitito como un mexicano, pero mi vocabulario es más o menos.
Está muy bien, Chase. Qué
Gracias.
chévere. Se te oye muy bien. Y te agradezco mucho. Thanks for taking my question, and you've
Claro que
helped
sí.
a lot with the book and with everything you do. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man. Thank you.
Lysander, what do you have?
Yeah, so I have a question about how in the ops manual you talk a lot about how raising all one's authority, like in confidence, discipline, leadership, gratitude, and enjoyment, really makes a difference in terms of how well these tools work, like the profiling and the influencing tools work. My question is, I guess, just how much? Like, if person A and person B both walk into a bar and they both have the same profiling skills and the same like degree of knowledge and knowing how to do that, but person A scores really high on the authority assessment, on the Hughes authority assessment, and person B scores low, like what sort of magnitude of difference would their outcomes be in terms of what they would see as the outcome? I'm just very curious about what that would look like.
I don't think we could calculate that down to a physics number, but the person that has authority is going to observe that room from in front of their eyes. The person with low authority is stuck behind their eyes in that room, which means they're having to perceive everything through 55 filters of how am I being perceived? What do people think about me? That guy's kind of like a guy that hit me in high school. They're like way behind their eyes, and then having to see through wax paper. And the person with authority is way out in front of their eyes. Their awareness is in front of their eyes. So I would say it's an
Okay.
exponential difference, marked difference. Did that answer
Okay.
your question?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Sorry, somebody keeps FaceTiming me, even though I'm in Do Not Disturb. All right. Who we got? Anybody else?
I have a big nerd question if no one else wants to go. I don't want, I was going to save this one just because I don't know how interesting it is to everybody else. I am super curious about your opinion / knowledge on George Estabrooks and whether he is a crazy person or whether hypnotizing for Manchurian Candidate purposes is as possible as he claims it is. And I'm curious to know if you knew that he wrote a novel about a hypnosis secret agent and whether that was an influence on Phrase 7.
It's
So
called
that is
Death
cool.
in the Mind, I think.
Yeah, I've never read it, but I saw a picture of it and I was like, that's sick.
It's okay. It's okay. It's like 50 Shades of Grey writing level, not writing style, writing level. But he's a psychologist. Like Phrase 7 is probably about the same for me. George Estabrook's I don't think was crazy at all, but I think he was so vehement that he thought everybody else was as excited as he was about it. Milton Erickson was heavily involved with all of that stuff too. He kept an extremely low profile when it came to it. I have the proof. I have signed letters from Milton Erickson talking about MK Ultra and all that stuff, and even talking about Aldous Huxley, Margaret Mead, and Esther Brooks, all written by Milton Erickson. So they were. I don't think he was crazy, but I think that he was just weird.
So you think some of the stuff that he talks about in like hypnosis or some of his public facing writings, like it's my experience is, and I'm very new to hypnosis, but it's been very hard to get some of the phenomena that he claims that he gets very casually. You know what I mean? And so I look at that sometimes and I just think, is that he's scared of communism and he wants to, use hypnosis to fight the Cold War? I don't know.
Right.
What is your take on all that?
I think it's very, very possible. Everything that you talked about is very possible. He had a formula to do all of these things. And let's see here. This is an unreleased document of that George Estabrooks wrote that I'm dropping in the chat right now. So it talks about the formula that he uses to create a Manchurian candidate, and I think you'll find it pretty interesting.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thanks for humoring me.
Hey, Chase, can I ask another quick question? Speaking of Estabrook.
Sure.
So
Hey, Greg. Yeah.
A while back, you did a great thing on mind control course. It was a brief, like 2-hour thing. I can't remember. It was a while ago. And then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I looked 12 years old in that video.
Yeah, but the information on that video was awesome.
It was it's not on YouTube anymore.
Oh, but I didn't know that it was on YouTube. It used to be on your Kajabi site, the first Kajabi site before you went to the app.
Yeah, that'd be cool to re-release.
Awesome. It's really
Holly,
great.
can you make a note for us to find it?
Noted.
Thank
You know that the origin of that video was me just trying out Periscope for the first time. Remember that app that came out, Periscope? That was my first Periscope broadcast. And I was in military housing, which is like the projects, essentially, doing that video. I was on active duty when that was filmed.
What about the Dangerous Minds video where you're in front of the fireplace with a glass of wine?
Yeah, I've still got that. I think it's on YouTube.
Oh, is it? That's cool. I've never looked, but
Yeah,
that's
I think
great
it
one.
is.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Hello, Jace. I want to say thank you very much for everything you're sharing with us. I'm very grateful to have found you and to learn with you, and I wish you good health. And I have one question about confusion statements, because in German they sound really strange and a little bit alarming to the person who hears them. So my question is, how can you manufacture confusion in a very natural way? How is this possible?
There is a woman in the you're in the NCI Plus community now?
Yes.
There is a woman named Marielena Welters.
Yes.
Who has translated all of those to make sense into German.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I will contact her.
So at any time you'll be able to say, how different would it be if things didn't start looking now like it wouldn't change if nothing else really did? All right, David.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Thomas.
Hey, thank you, Chase. I want to say thank you for putting your life's work out there like this. That's what I understand is what this is your life's work. And I've been going through all the materials, immersing myself for a few months. I just found it so um, refreshing, easy to absorb, deep and broad. And I wanted to say thank you because I'm noticing changes in the people around me, and I'm just kind of absorbing it by osmosis, even though I'm focusing on it, but I'm not really, I'm not finding it to be a burden to put into practice the skills. But I'm still very novice at it. I've been looking for stuff like this for a long time. And I had just to clarify, I'm pretty sure I already have this. The ops manual is, even though it's your life's work and it's amazing, I'm just scratching the surface, is is not intended to encapsulate everything that there is in humanity. It's to kind of develop your skills of observation and your skills of practice and communication so that you can adapt on the go. And it's not really the script based. It's really, here's how to play music. Now go make your music. If that's a fitting metaphor, would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think it is very accurate. Like I didn't write my first piece of music until I played 500 other people's songs on the guitar, and like that first thing you're learning Stairway to Heaven, you do that 6,000 times. And then you're doing, 5, 6 years later, you can play Blackbird, and then you kind of keep evolving from that point. And then some people you don't want to write their own music. And if the person wanted to use the ops manual as the script and as the precise exact formula to do everything, you absolutely could. But I think the beauty comes where you're taking that and becoming an artist instead of a musician. An artist in the sense that I'm creating, musician in the sense that they're repeating.
Real quick, one more. If I can say it this way, is this like learning classical music, which is all the good theory? And I'll just stick with the metaphor. And I work a lot with people recovering from narcissistic abuse and complex trauma from various sources, relational trauma. And what I'm kind of seeing, what's kind of coalescing in my head is learning the classical music is allowing me to translate it over into the rock and roll of dealing with those kinds of toxic relationships, because it's not always a one-to-one. What's in your materials doesn't always actually play out exactly that way, but it's close enough that the theory is there. You just have to kind of tweak it. Like when you get people who are so glazed over because they're so traumatized, you kind of have to take it and wing it a little bit, but you're using the foundations to do that winging. I don't know if that makes sense, but I appreciate it so much because it's helping me help my clients tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. It's beautifully said as well. Thanks for that, David. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
And I think we'll do one more, and we'll start doing these more regularly where you're going through and we'll go through whatever problem you want, and you can test me out. If I can't do this shit on the fly, then I don't deserve to be called an expert. So we'll take one question. I've got one hand up here. Marika.
Yes, hi. Best wishes from Poland. So I would repeat everything what David said about your work, about everything, how much it helped me. Specifically, this concept of 3 selves, past, present, and future, like that helped me better than any therapy I had in my entire life, because that was so deep, so profound, and it changed my life completely. And I have a question about, did you ever had a time when your present self was winning, when you couldn't discipline yourself? And if so, what did you do to get back on track?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, so because having like having this concept of 3 selves, it requires a lot of discipline to always thinking about your future self.
In the
And
beginning.
yeah, but my question is, did you ever derailed or lose this thought of your future self? And
yeah.
if so, what did you do to get back on track?
So the worst I ever, in the last year, I ate so many Reese's peanut butter cups that I almost vomited in one sitting. And it had been years since I did this, but I went back to the app that makes you look like you're 90 years old.
Okay.
And I put those photos everywhere because I lost the mammalian visual relationship with my future self. So I put them all over the place. And to go a little further, the alternative would be for me to go into the app that makes you 600, 900 pounds heavier and print that out and put it all over the place and just really hammer that down, because you have to show your mammalian brain that there is a future self, because it's a concept. It doesn't exist. Our future selves don't exist right now. It's a concept. So we have to take it from concept to clarity. So anything that we can take from concept to clarity, we make a lot of tremendous success with. And one of the cool things that you can do is, I forgot what it's called, but there's a way that you can, I think it's scheduling. You can schedule an email and you can start sending emails to yourself in the future from the past. So you start getting gratitude. The moment your present self is looking backwards with gratitude, you automatically think about your future self. So people are more about looking ahead, but let's focus on what can I do to look backwards with gratitude. And that's one of the big problems I wish I would have written differently in the book. It's a great question and a cute cat.
Thank you. Thank you.
But in the meantime, to force yourself back on track, you have to put the mask on and just wear the mask of being the disciplined person for a little while. I don't know how do you say mask in Polish? Maska, right?
Mask. Yeah, perfect. So do you know Polish? A bit.
No.
No, okay.
How would you say put on the mask in Poland? Sumka? Sumka maska?
Założyć
right?
maskę.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say like that was a phrase that I repeat very often in my head, and then I teach the operative people that I train is just put the mask on until you don't need it. And mask not being faking, mask just being this is who I am right now. I'm going to be this person as long as I can until the mask falls off. Not faking who I am as a person or with other people, but putting the mask on of I am a disciplined person. I have these behavioral traits, and writing that out as long as you can, just to help just one neuron get married to another neuron, or I'm wearing the mask long enough that 2 neurons get a divorce that I want to get divorced. And that's about it. And we could do neuroscience if you want. I know that's not the most interesting part of the book, but we could do whatever. And Holly will be scheduling our next one, which will be just in a couple of weeks. And we'll meet again. We'll hang out again. I've got to run. We've got a little dinner to do here at the house. But I love y'all. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to use my Zoom tonight to just hang out and talk about tradecraft and what you're learning from the book and talk to each other, I'm going to leave the Zoom room open. So I'm just going to turn off my camera. It's open, and I'll stop the recording right now.